welcome back to Prime Wealth.
It's great to have you here with us today.
You know, if you've ever had a brilliant idea or an invention that you thought could change the world, but you weren't sure how to make it happen, today's episode is for you.
Absolutely. We're diving into the world of patent licensing, which is all about turning those ideas into income.
Right. Many people don't realize that you can actually monetize your intellectual property without having to start a business.
Exactly. We'll discuss how patent licensing works, the different types of licenses, and, how to determine if your idea is worth patenting in the first place.
And we'll also share some practical steps to help you navigate the process, from researching your idea to finding potential licensees.
Plus, we'll touch on some real-life examples of people who have successfully licensed their patents and turned their concepts into cash flow.
So whether you're sitting on a revolutionary idea or just curious about the potential of patent licensing, stick around.
Let's jump right into it.
You know, Alex, when we talk about patent licensing, I think a lot of people might not realize how it fits into their financial picture, especially for those of us over 40.
Absolutely, Jordan. It's really about leveraging what you know or what you've created. At this stage in life, many folks are thinking about retirement, but they might not have the savings they envisioned, right?
Exactly. And with inflation being what it is, it can feel like a constant uphill battle. I mean, let's face it, the cost of living keeps rising, and many people are wondering how they can secure their finances better.
Right. And it's not just about retirement savings. It's also about diversifying income streams. People over 40 often have substantial work experience, and patent licensing can be a way to capitalize on that.
So let's say someone has developed a unique product or process in their career. How does that translate into patent licensing?
Well, once they secure a patent, they have a legal right to control how that invention is used. They can license it out to companies, which means they can earn royalties without having to manufacture or sell it themselves. This can be a passive income stream, which is really appealing as retirement approaches.
That makes sense. So it's like taking something you've already worked hard on and turning it into a financial asset.
Exactly. And for many people, especially at this stage in life, they might not want to start from scratch or take on the risks of starting a new business. Licensing can give them a way to generate income with a lot less risk.
Right. I remember talking to a friend who had a small patent for a kitchen gadget she invented. She didn't want to dive into the retail side of things, but she licensed it to a company that already had distribution channels.
That's a perfect example. She effectively turned her idea into cash flow without the headache of running a business. And for someone over 40, that can be particularly attractive.
Yeah, and I can imagine it alleviates some of that financial anxiety too. I mean, with retirement looming, having that extra income could make a huge difference.
It really can. Studies show that many people entering retirement are underfunded. In fact, according to recent data, nearly 50% of Americans over 50 have less than $100,000 saved for retirement.
Wow, that's pretty alarming. So if someone were to consider patent licensing, it's not just about the money, but also about the peace of mind that can come with it.
Absolutely. It allows for a more secure financial future, which is crucial at this life stage. Plus, it can be an empowering experience. Taking control of your ideas and making them work for you, that's a big confidence booster.
You mentioned earlier about diversifying income streams. For someone who might be working full-time, how can they manage this alongside a busy schedule?
Great question. It starts with finding the right balance. They don't have to dive in head first. They can begin by researching patent options, maybe even working with a patent attorney to understand their rights and possibilities.
And I suppose there's no rush, right? They can take their time to learn and explore the landscape.
Exactly. It's about building a solid foundation. They could start by identifying areas in their work where they've innovated or created something unique. Then they can consider whether those ideas are patentable.
So what's the first step for someone who thinks they might have a patentable idea?
First, they should document everything. Keep a detailed record of the development process. This is crucial, especially if they decide to pursue a patent. Then, they can consult with a patent professional to assess the viability of their idea.
That sounds like a solid approach. And I assume they should also think about their audience or market for whatever they're looking to license?
Exactly. Understanding the market potential is key. They need to know who would benefit from their invention and how it could fit into existing products or services.
Plus, they could even get feedback from potential users before going all in, right?
Yes, that's a smart move. Gathering insights can help refine the idea and strengthen their patent application.
So it seems like this is more than just a financial move. It's about tapping into creativity and innovation too.
Definitely. And for those over 40, it can reignite that entrepreneurial spirit. It's a chance to turn years of experience into something tangible, which is really fulfilling.
And it's also about legacy, isn't it? Creating something that could benefit others while also securing one's financial future.
Spot on, Jordan. It's about building something lasting. And in these times where economic uncertainty looms, having that additional layer of income can provide a safety net.
So what are some practical strategies people can implement if they want to explore patent licensing?
Well, one strategy is to network within their industry. They might find like-minded individuals or even potential partners who can help them navigate the process.
That's a great point. Collaboration could open up more opportunities than going it alone.
Exactly! And they should also consider attending workshops or seminars on patent law and licensing. Educating themselves is crucial.
And it sounds like there are resources out there specifically catering to inventors and entrepreneurs.
Yes, many organizations provide support for inventors, including guidance on patents and licensing.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together.
So when we talk about patent licensing, the first thing to keep in mind is that it's all about understanding your intellectual property. You really need to know what you have and how it can be valuable.
Right, and that starts with doing a thorough patent search, doesn't it? You want to make sure your idea is unique and not infringing on someone else's patent.
Exactly. A patent search can be a bit tedious, but it's crucial. You can use online databases like the USPTO website, or even hire a patent attorney to help you navigate that process.
And once you know that your idea is patentable, what's next?
Well, the next step is to actually file for a patent. This can take time, but it's important to get your patent application as solid as possible. You want to include detailed descriptions, drawings, and claims that clearly outline what makes your invention unique.
That sounds like a lot of work, but I guess it pays off in the end. Once you have your patent, then you can think about licensing, right?
Yes, exactly. Licensing is where you can really monetize your invention. You have a couple of options here. You could license it exclusively, meaning only one company can use your patent, or non-exclusively, where multiple companies can use it.
That makes sense. So how do you decide which route to take?
It really depends on your goals and the market. If you believe your idea has a lot of potential and you can negotiate a good deal, an exclusive license might be the way to go. But if you want to reach a broader audience and have multiple streams of income, non-exclusive might be better.
And what about the financials? How do you set a price for licensing?
Great question. You'll want to consider a few factors here. Look at your market size, the potential sales volume, and how much the licensee is willing to pay. Royalties are typically a percentage of sales, which can range from 2% to 10% depending on the industry.
I see. And what if a company approaches you with an interest in your patent?
In that case, it's important to negotiate well. Don't just jump at the first offer. You might want to get a patent valuation done to understand its worth. There are professionals who specialize in this, which can give you leverage in negotiations.
That sounds smart. So what about the legal side of things? You mentioned earlier that having a patent attorney can help, right?
Absolutely. A good patent attorney can help draft your licensing agreement to ensure that it protects your interests. You want to cover things like duration of the license, payment terms, and what happens if the licensee doesn't meet their obligations.
And I imagine having that legal backing can save a lot of headaches down the road, right?
For sure. If disputes arise later on, having a solid licensing agreement can make all the difference. It's all about being proactive rather than reactive.
That's a really important point. So what's the next step after negotiating the terms?
Once you have your licensing agreement in place, it's essential to monitor the performance of your licensee. Make sure they're meeting their sales targets and paying their royalties on time. You can even include audit rights in your agreement for added security.
That's a good tip. I guess staying involved helps you ensure that everything is on track.
Definitely. And remember, Building a relationship with your licensee can be beneficial too. If they feel supported, they're likely to put more effort into promoting your invention.
That makes total sense. Now, what about marketing? Should you be involved in how your patent is marketed, or is that up to the licensee?
It can depend on the agreement you have in place. Sometimes, you might want to retain some control over how your product is marketed, especially if you have specific ideas on branding. It's worth discussing this during negotiations.
That's a good point. So what are some tools or resources that can help someone navigate this process?
There are quite a few. Websites like Patent Buddy and IP Watchdog offer great insights. Additionally, networking groups or local patent associations can be valuable for connecting with others who are going through similar experiences.
And I guess keeping up with industry news can also help you understand trends, right?
Exactly. Being informed about your industry can enhance your negotiation power and help you make smarter decisions about licensing.
So let's say someone has gone through all these steps. What are some common pitfalls they should watch out for?
One major pitfall is undervaluing your patent. Many inventors might get too eager and accept the first offer they receive. It's crucial to do your homework and understand the full value of what you're offering.
That's really important. I can see how that could lead to missed opportunities.
Another pitfall is not having a clear exit strategy. You should know what happens if things don't go as planned. For instance, what if the licensee doesn't perform? Having a plan in place can save you a lot of stress.
That's a great point. I can imagine it would be really easy to overlook that in the excitement of getting started.
And then there's the risk of not protecting your patent adequately. If you don't monitor how it's being used, you could lose your rights or allow others to infringe on it without even realizing.
Wow, that really highlights the importance of ongoing diligence.
It does. So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now, let's bring everything together.
So, Alex, I think it's really important for our listeners to understand that while patent licensing can be a fantastic way to monetize an idea, there are definitely some common pitfalls that people often encounter.
Absolutely, Jordan. One of the biggest mistakes I see is not doing enough market research before pursuing a patent. People get excited about their idea and dive right in, but if there's no market for it, that patent might not be worth much.
Right. It's like putting all your energy into creating a product that nobody wants. Can you think of an example?
Sure. I once worked with an inventor who created a really innovative kitchen gadget. He was so passionate about it, but he hadn't talked to anyone in the target market. When we finally did some research, we discovered that the market was already saturated with similar products. It was a tough conversation, but we had to pivot the approach.
That must have been hard for him to hear. So how can someone recognize if they're heading down that same path?
Well, a good sign to watch for is if your idea gets a lot of nods of approval from friends and family, but you don't get much traction or interest from actual potential customers. That's a red flag. You need to validate your idea in the real world.
That makes sense. Another common issue I've seen is underestimating the costs involved in patenting and licensing. It can get pretty expensive, can't it?
Definitely. Filing for a patent isn't just a one-time fee. There are legal fees, maintenance fees, and if you want to enforce your patent, that can be a whole different ballgame. I know someone who spent thousands getting a patent, only to find out he didn't budget for legal costs to defend it.
And then what happens? They're left with this patent that they can't protect?
Exactly, and then there's the risk of revealing your idea too early. If you're not careful about how and when you disclose your idea, you could lose your patent rights altogether.
Oh, that's a tricky one. I've heard of people who pitch their ideas before they've secured a patent, thinking they're just networking, but it backfires.
Yes, that's a classic mistake. You want to make sure you have a non-disclosure agreement in place if you're sharing your idea. Otherwise, someone could take your concept and run with it.
It really highlights the balance between sharing your idea to get feedback and protecting it. So what are some other signs that someone might be in over their head?
Another indicator is if you're feeling overwhelmed by the process. If you can't keep track of deadlines or the paperwork starts piling up, it might be time to reconsider your approach. A well-organized plan can save a lot of headaches.
And I imagine that's where having a good team can come in handy, right?
Exactly. It's crucial to surround yourself with people who know the ins and outs of the patent process. A good patent attorney can help you navigate the complexities and keep you on track.
What about the actual licensing part? Are there mistakes people commonly make there too?
Yes, definitely. One big mistake is not negotiating the terms properly. Many inventors are so eager to get a deal that they don't fully understand the licensing agreement they're signing.
So they could be giving away more than they realize?
Exactly. I had a client who signed away the rights to his invention for a small upfront payment, but he missed out on royalties that could have been life-changing. It's important to understand the long-term implications of any deal.
Wow, that's a tough lesson to learn. How can someone avoid that pitfall?
Well, it comes back to education. Understanding what typical licensing agreements look like and knowing what's reasonable can empower you to negotiate better terms. Also, never hesitate to ask questions or seek advice from professionals.
And what about the emotional side of things? I imagine it can be quite stressful.
Oh, for sure. The emotional roller coaster can be intense. It's easy to get attached to your idea and feel defensive about it. But you have to stay objective. If you're too emotionally invested, it can cloud your judgment in negotiations.
That's a good point. So keeping that emotional distance can help you make more rational decisions?
Exactly. And if you're feeling burnt out or frustrated, it might be worth taking a step back to evaluate the situation. Sometimes, a fresh perspective can reveal new opportunities or paths forward.
And speaking of fresh perspectives, I think a lot of people might benefit from having a mentor or someone who's been through the process before, right?
Yes, mentors can provide invaluable guidance. They can share their experiences, help you avoid common mistakes, and keep you motivated on your journey.
That's such great advice. So if someone recognizes they've made a mistake or two, how can they recover from that?
First, it's important to assess the situation honestly. Figure out what went wrong and why. Then, you can make a plan to move forward. Maybe that means seeking legal advice to correct a licensing agreement, or pivoting your idea based on market feedback.
That sounds like a proactive approach. It's all about learning from the experience and adjusting, right?
Exactly. Every setback can be a lesson. The key is to stay flexible and keep your end goals in sight.
So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together as we move into our outro. All right, so let's dive into some next steps. If someone's feeling inspired by the idea of patent licensing, what's the first thing they should do?
Well, the first step is definitely to do some research. You want to understand what patents are out there and which ones might align with your interests or expertise.
Right, and there are various databases for that, right? Like Google Patents or the USPTO website.
Exactly. Those are great places to start. You can search for patents in fields that interest you. And while you're at it, look into the licensing terms associated with those patents.
So once someone finds a patent they're interested in, what's next?
After that, it's crucial to evaluate the patent's potential market. Ask yourself if there's a demand for the product or technology that's patented.
That makes sense. Are there any specific tools or resources that can help with that market research?
For sure. Websites like Statista or IBISWorld can provide industry reports and insights. And you might also consider joining forums or networking groups related to your industry.
I love that idea. Networking is such a powerful tool. So what about the actual licensing process?
Once you've narrowed down your options, the next step is to reach out to the patent holder. You can usually find contact information in the patent documents.
And how should someone approach that conversation?
Well, it's all about being professional and clear about your intentions. Outline how you see the patent being used and how it could be beneficial for both parties.
That's a great tip. And I assume there's some negotiation that happens here too?
Absolutely. Be prepared to discuss terms, royalties, and any other conditions. It can be a bit tricky, so having a basic understanding of licensing agreements is essential.
Speaking of that, are there any resources or books you recommend for learning about licensing agreements?
Yes. Patent Licensing and Selling Strategy, Negotiation, and Forms by Gordon V. Smith is a solid read. It gives you practical insights into the world of licensing.
Awesome. So after the initial contact and negotiation, what's the next step in the process?
Once both parties agree on the terms, you'll need to draft a formal licensing agreement. This is where it's beneficial to consult with a lawyer who specializes in intellectual property.
Definitely. It's worth getting that legal support to ensure everything is in order.
Exactly. And once you have that agreement in place, it's time to start executing your plan?
Right. So for someone who's just starting out, what are some small habits they can build to keep the momentum going?
Great question. First, set aside a specific time each week dedicated to your patent research and licensing efforts. Consistency is key.
I like that. And maybe even keeping a journal or a log of your findings and contacts could be helpful?
Absolutely. Documenting your progress can help you stay organized and motivated. Plus, it's a great way to reflect on what's working and what's not.
And what about connecting with others?
Networking is crucial. Attend local meetups, webinars, or workshops related to intellectual property or innovation. Building those connections can open up new opportunities.
And if someone's nervous about networking, what's a good way to ease into it?
Try starting with online forums or social media groups focused on patent licensing. Engage in conversations and share your thoughts. It's a less intimidating way to build confidence.
That's a fantastic idea. It's all about finding your comfort level and gradually stepping out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. And along with that, consider subscribing to newsletters or podcasts that focus on patent licensing and innovation trends. Staying informed can be incredibly beneficial.
So it sounds like the key is to take small, actionable steps.
Definitely. Start small, and as you gain confidence and knowledge, you can expand your efforts.
And what about tools? Are there any apps or platforms that could help in this journey?
Sure. Tools like Evernote or Trello can help you organize your research and track your contacts. And if you're looking to dive into more analytical work, using Excel or Google Sheets can help you keep track of your findings and trends.
Those sound super useful. So to wrap up this section before we get to the outro, it seems like it's about blending research, networking, and consistent action.
Exactly. The more you immerse yourself in the process, the more comfortable you'll become. So those are some immediate steps you can take. Now let's bring everything together.
Wow, what a journey we've had today talking about patent licensing and turning those ideas into income.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how a simple idea can have such potential, right? One key takeaway is that understanding the basics of patenting is crucial. It's your first step toward monetizing your innovation.
Right, and then there's the importance of market research. Knowing who your audience is and what they need can really help guide your decisions on licensing.
For sure, and let's not forget about the value of building relationships. Networking with industry professionals can open up a lot of doors for opportunities. It's not just about the idea, but who you know too.
Exactly. And as we discussed, having a solid licensing agreement is vital. It protects your interests and ensures that you're getting fair compensation for your work.
Definitely. Those agreements can be complex, but they're essential for long-term success.
So as you think about your own ideas, remember that it's all about taking those practical steps. You can transform your passion into something profitable, even later in life.
Yes, and don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. There are resources and professionals out there who can guide you.
Speaking of guidance, if you found today's episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit from this information, especially if they're over 40. We want to spread the word.
And we'd love to hear your thoughts. What ideas do you have? Leave us a comment.
And next time, we'll dive into the world of car rental apps and peer-to-peer sharing. It's a fascinating topic that can help you make some extra cash.
Absolutely, so stay tuned for that.
Until then, keep dreaming big and taking those steps towards financial freedom.
Take care, everyone.